Thursday. Tony Messenger, good morning.
Hang on a sec. I had a problem hearing him on his phone.
Hold on a second. We are having troubles with the secured bunker.
It always works in rehearsal.
It worked during the Obama administration, not so much in the Trump administration. Good morning, Tony Messenger.
Good morning. How are you, McGraw?
We are doing great. You know, I know you are a big proponent of this MetroLink expansion, this north-south extension. And if the Ways and Means Committee votes on it, it will go to a vote of the people. Also with this MLS stadium, it looks like, if you're reading the tea leaves, it looks like these issues might be on the ballot, and the people of St. Louis will determine the next 50 years and how St. Louis will look with this election coming up in April.
You know, quite possibly. The fact that they scheduled a Ways and Means Committee meeting today tells me that at least Chairman Steve Conway believes he has the votes. And while so much of the attention has been on the soccer stadium because stadium politics tends to draw so much passion, so much love, and so much hate of public subsidy, the bigger, more important vote, for a variety of reasons, is the MetroLink vote. And that's the one that has the chance to transform the city. What's going to be interesting to me is I am hearing a lot of chatter from people that have spent a lot of time studying and caring about and pushing for North-South MetroLink longer than I've lived in this city, who question whether or not this is the right proposal. It's not enough money to build the whole thing. The county's not yet involved. It's interesting that even though this getting on the ballot might be a very good first step, it's hardly the end game to getting North-South MetroLink built. And so it's going to be imperative, if it gets through the vote today and gets through the Board of Aldermen and gets voted on April 4th, between now and then, I'm going to be very interested in hearing from city leaders and transit experts. Does this half-cent sales tax get St. Louis closer to MetroLink or not?
What's interesting is this is a generational type project, and from what I understand, this money is going to start to be collected that will go into a private fund that will sit there waiting for them to break ground on this?
Well, it depends on how they decide to sell the bonds and when they decide to sell the bonds that will ultimately finance all of this work. Those details are going to be very important, and some of those details I don't think we'll actually know until after the election. I mean, the next mayor will have some control over exactly when the bonds are sold and all of that. Some of that will have to do with the market. But like you said, so much of that is going to have to depend on what the actual plan is to build the MetroLink. When do the next mayor and Steve Stenger get together, the county executive, and say, okay, we've got our financing. You've already got a big pile of money that voters passed in 2010 that you're not spending on MetroLink expansion. When are we going to get together, put our piles of money together, get the federal government, which, by the way, right now under our current president, it raises a whole nother big question about whether or not transit funds are going to be available. When are we going to get together, get the federal money, get some private investment, and get this thing done? There's a whole lot of steps that will have to happen after today, after April 4th. But getting through today, I think, would be a significant step forward in this city making a clear public policy declaration that north-south MetroLink line needs to be built, that if St. Louis wants to fulfill its potential, it has to expand transit.
Tony, let's play hypothetical games here. Let's assume that it passes the committee today and it gets on the ballot and the judge decrees it on the ballot and it's on the ballot. Do you think the city voters of St. Louis, with a mayor's race, with a half cent for the MetroLink and the MLS stadium on the ballot, would that increase turnout? And or do you think those would actually pass by the voters?
A couple of things. Unless some mysterious independent candidate shows up, the mayor's race is going to be decided March 7th.
Okay.
So come April 4th, we'll already, in effect, know who the mayor is going to be. And whether or not that person on that ballot at that point is advocating for or against the transit vote and the soccer stadium vote, I think will play a role. If city Democrats on March 7th elect somebody who says, I'm going to stand against the MetroLink tax, then that's going to change the dynamic, I think, significantly. So what happens March 7th will affect April 4th. Here's what I know about April elections. The various consultants, political consultants that exist in this city, and you know all of them, and I know all of them, they study this stuff carefully. They've already polled. They know who comes out to vote in an April election, and it's not very many people. And they believe they can pass a transit tax. And at least the soccer people believe they can also pass the soccer tax. I think the soccer tax is going to be very close if it makes the ballot. I think transit, if it makes the ballot, will probably pass pretty overwhelmingly, again, unless something comes up between now and then where they just can't make the case or where the leading mayoral candidate runs against it or something like that.
Yeah.
So I think if it gets on the ballot, it is likely to pass in April.
It's interesting because the football stadium Rams deal, I think both of us agree, never would have passed a public vote. But this one's a little different, and it's almost like they wanted to put it on the ballot last time because they knew it wasn't going to pass, and the people don't want to put it on the ballot this time because they think it has a chance it might pass.
Yeah, the games being played with stadium dollars is one of the reasons that people get so upset about public money going into stadiums, and it's the Governor Eric Greitens philosophy, the welfare for millionaires. I mean, that is a populist view that is very common today. Although I will tell you, I was at my son's baseball practice last night, talking to another dad who's a businessman who lives in St. Charles County, and we were talking about the need for regionalism. And here's a guy who lives in St. Charles County. He's not a soccer fan. He's a football fan. But he said, you know what? I agree that those types of investments should be regional investments. I'd vote for it if it were on the ballot. This is a conservative Republican non-soccer fan who lives in St. Charles County who says, you know what, I'd vote for that. Because people realize that the way we do things in St. Louis, where we take the poorest 300,000 residents in the city and say, you're going to have to invest in everything in downtown and nobody else is, it's not smart. It's not smart. And so that's one of the reasons why people get upset over stadium subsidy talk, because the way we do it right now isn't very smart.
Tony Messenger, thanks for checking in. Have a good weekend. Talk to you on Tuesday.
Good to talk to you.
Tony Messenger, St. Louis Post-Dispatch columnist, who is with us every Tuesday and Thursday, works for STLtoday.com, and he is a contributor to the Big 550 KTRS Tuesdays and Thursdays, 827 Big 550 KTRS. I am reading this commercial through my reading glasses that I purchased at Elegant Reading.